Man, wax lips
Wax
were the
sack.
grossest thing in the world.
What are?
Wax lips.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That confection?
I only know them from
I think wax
awful.
lips are like from the era where like a kid would wear like a little paper crown and push a wheel down the street, where you don't even want to trust the candy that kid's gonna eat. It's not real. It's not good.
down the
It's
street.
awful.
Yeah.
Like with a stick.
Yeah, with a stick. Like
gross.
if that's your idea of fun, think about what your idea of candy is. Wax that you chew on that has like juice in it.
Good point.
Gross.
Your favorite stick.
It's November 18th, 2015.
This is Idle Thumbs 237. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm James Spafford.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
And I'm Sean Vanneman.
Welcome back, buddy.
Hey, pal. Oh, and Spaff and Chris.
And oh, hey guys.
Hey.
I've come back because I played Fallout 4 extensively.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that where Nick is right now? Probably.
Let's just assume he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's lost in the Boston wastelands.
Jake, you haven't played it though, right?
No.
But you like Waluigi?
Yes.
All right. Did you see that somebody made Waluigi in the character creator? And it's fucking perfect.
Yeah, I did see that
Did
actually.
you see
I
the
did not
quote
see
that
this.
said, "Wow, wow never changes."
Yes.
So fucking good.
It's really good.
Oh my goodness, Chris, you have to see this. Wow, I already got him right here.
Fallout.
Look at
I
it.
wish to see this.
That's what you love.
Who's that in the background? Is that
That's
Ms.
Wario,
It's
I
Ms.
suppose?
Wario, I think.
Walla Peach.
It's just it's another Wah. It's a member of the Wah family.
That's actually the one that makes it for me.
That's good because I can imagine a real human just actually looking like that, and so there might be
Well,
one
it
out
looks
there.
like
real.
it looks like a BioShock character, basically.
That's true.
It's sort of just that sculpted enough dramatic look. Mm-hmm. This is basically, this is like a Sander Cohen type or something from BioShock.
Yeah, if this guy got on the subway, I would buy it. Especially with that curly Q mustache in the
you
city.
would buy the
Buy the subway?
Yeah, what?
You'd
I
buy
would
him
buy it
being
as reality.
as
This is
real.
I was like, I'm awake.
I love this. Give me more of this. I want this.
How much for you to be here now? Excuse me, sir. I just look this way. There's some other.
Excuse me, sir. I'm gonna win.
I
have a party to attend, of which I am the star.
I'm the number one star of that party. Please. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have any more illuminating thoughts than
I guess I would say if you did see that guy on the subway, you'd buy it because it was real life and he would have to exist. But if you saw him walking around a post-apocalyptic Bostonian wasteland, you would say, "You're Waluigi."
You are definitely Waluigi. You are an Easter egg, sir.
breaking fiction for me.
I'd buy this. Wait, I already spent $60 on this game. I bought this.
Fortunately, Waluigi, I bought
this,
you.
I would say. Although I did find myself saying that a couple of times. Like, I've had good experiences, and then I've had like weird game bad experiences of just like getting murdered instantly or something. And those are usually entertaining. But I have, like, last night I had made all this progress, and then this stupidest fucking thing happened. I just got exploded by a trap, and I just looked at the screen and basically said, "I bought this. I bought this game.
You said, "I bought
this.
this."
I have to keep playing." Like,
The expression is "I bought it." Like when you die, you need to use it properly, Sean.
oh, like I bought the farm.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I was talking
bought
No,
this.
more.
that's his
Metacritic
farm
made the
settlement
farm.
that he built with.
Oh yeah, he built the farm. He didn't buy it.
Yeah,
You just
He
get
built the
given it
farm.
and then you make it.
He bought this and he paid for this game.
I workshop menued myself a farm. Yes, by using the touchpad. Yeah. Are you guys are all playing on PC though?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, I'm playing on PS4, which is interesting.
You have to navigate some and really irritating controls to.
Yeah, I don't like the
fucking
mouse and
use it.
keyboard controls.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Wait for the UI update, hack
Yeah.
mod, whatever.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a PC UI fix Skyrim mod
Yeah,
that was
made a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had just learned by playing Skyrim on PC and then buying a copy of it for Xbox 360 for my roommate that it was a much more fun play experience on 360, even though it didn't look very good compared to PC. But then I just plugged in a 360 controller on Skyrim and was off to the races.
Yeah, I'll probably just plug in an Xbox
plug in a
controller to my
gamepad.
computer.
I think that's wise.
Yeah.
Because the game plays really nicely on the PS4.
Have any of you guys found a turret override holotape?
Oh man,
in the game?
many people have showed me this on Twitter.
Yeah, there's I guess you can get some sort of, I don't know what a turret override holotape is.
It's self-explanatory, Jake.
I mean, I imagine
the first two parts, the third part,
You can find like holotape. You can find tape, cassette tapes basically in the game, and plug them in. Put them into computer terminals that you find in the world. And then there's also turrets and stuff like that you can build as part of the crafting system as defenses and stuff like that. So,
So there's a holotape that you can get for your turret, which is called Turret Overlord version 3.1, and that's TURR3T, and it lets you do things to your turret. But this particular tape was made by Phaedrus, Phaedr capital 0 S. So pretty pleased about that existing inside of Fallout. So,
yeah.
either a deep cut Idle Thumbs reader or one of the 900 million people who have read Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance.
I'm hoping for the former.
We are all hoping for the
I'm
former.
betting the former when it's considering it's also an overlord.
Yeah, it's an overlord who's a turret
helps.
hacker named Phaedrus. It's pretty good. Anyway, so that's good. That, of course, means that because Phaedrus is also in Gone Home, that Fallout now takes place in the System Shock universe.
Steve already made that claim earlier.
Really?
No, of course not. Because that's the sort of outlandish claim that Steve would make.
That's why I believed it.
Right. Yeah. It's funny that that goof about the holotape thing made me realize how much of the game I'm not engaging with because I played so much Skyrim that I'm just doing Skyrim things because the game in...
Does this it also contains a Skyrim, basically?
Yeah, 75% of the game is just Skyrim in control, presentation, and design.
Dragons,
Which is...
Vikings and stuff.
Not that part. You know what I mean, though? Did you play much Skyrim?
I played a bunch, but
I played a lot of it.
I mean,
God, it just feels like Skyrim to me. So much of I'm just going to do the... it's funny. I don't think it's not... I'm not knocking the game, but I just find myself...
Are you saying... I can't tell if what you're saying is specific to Skyrim, or do you just mean modern Bethesda RPGs?
Modern Bethesda
Okay,
RPGs,
okay.
Because
that makes sense, though, that it would be that.
Of
if it
course.
wasn't like that.
I'm not saying it makes sense or is bad or is good. It's just there's a whole segment of the game I'm not engaging with because I know how to do this one core part of the Venn diagram.
You're playing the Bethesda common denominator right now more than you're playing Fallout 4, potentially.
Exactly. Which I think is hindering my enjoyment of the game. Although I know there is much to be enjoyed.
You got to get in a big mech suit and stomp around. You got to find those holotapes. Come on. You got to use VATS.
I am using the VATS. Got to use VATS. But I wasn't until I listened to the podcast last week.
Yeah, I
was taught to use VATS by you guys.
I ended up hearing from a lot of people who similarly, like me and apparently Sean, just completely missed the part in the tutorial where the game introduces VATS to you. And I guess the reason is because when you first encounter enemies in the game, it's just a little message on the screen that you don't have to do, because obviously if you kill the enemies without doing it, the message isn't going to stay there the entire game.
Right.
Because VATS no longer... VATS is only... I think you can technically force activate it if there are no enemies on screen by holding the button down longer. But generally speaking, if you just press the button, it will only come up if there's an enemy on the screen.
In Fallout 3, was VATS just always on a toggle on that button?
No, I just remember it being introduced in a way that I noticed that it existed. And I also think it was part of their marketing a lot more, whereas I guess I actually just didn't really look at the marketing for this game. So I have no idea.
It seems like it's being sold as... the marketing for this game, the core marketing has been the 2 trailers they put out. And that's it.
Good music and art.
Yeah, it seems like they're selling Fallout 4 a lot more on it's just an open experience for you to do what you will.
Yeah, and that's fine. I mean, it's more that than... I mean, their games just increasingly are moving in that direction over the last few, especially with all this crafting and settlement stuff. So that's fine. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people missed that.
I wonder how deliberate that was. They must have play tested the first hour of Fallout 4 a lot over the last 7 years.
I know. I feel that's true of a lot of stuff. I've had to read a ton of guides, being pretty new to Fallout and having never played the other ones. So much stuff is told you in those little pop-up boxes that you don't really spot.
I wonder
because you shot the beetle with the gun that you had in your hand or whatever.
They must just figure. They must just figure at this point there's too much in the game to, like, the what they gain from explicit mandatory tutorialization they must consider it not as important as not burying you under tons of shit.
And I think I agree.
I think so too.
I think I do.
I mean,
too.
like, I was playing this game, like the game, in like what 25 minutes after the opening. You're just like, oh, you're in the space, go. You know, like 20 minutes, 15. Like, it's so short. Like, I would much prefer that than a Final Fantasy where it's like, well, Night 1, first half of the tutorial.
Oh no, I totally agree. I'm just playing the game with my laptop though there, and then I'm like,
seems
what
like
the fuck is this?
Well, the thing
press this button.
The thing that was, especially the first day when I was playing the game, it ended up being really cool because I would find things like, you know, when I first found the I mentioned this last week, I suppose, but when I first found the crafting stuff, I was just like successively overwhelmed by how huge that system is. And it made it feel like there was a lot in the game. Like, it made it feel like a world full of stuff. I'm like, if this entire thing is in the game and I had no idea, then how much other stuff is just here that I have no clue that I'm just going to find? And like, that whole first day of playing that game was kind of amazing in that way because I just kept finding things that I did not know I should be expecting, that I didn't know how to use. It was crazy.
To that point, VATS probably has just been downgraded to the same level as the crafting system, which is when you absolutely need to find it, we'll just trust that someone is going to find it and they're going to kill a guy with it.
Yeah, which is kind of actually going all the way. In a way, this pendulum is kind of swinging back to what these games were like sort of pre-Oblivion or pre-Morrowind. I mean, they're not like that. They're not. This is not the same as like Daggerfall, Elder Scrolls 2. In a lot of ways necessarily, but there was something about that era of like big, expansive, system-driven, player-driven PC game design that did just kind of let that stuff be largely player discoverable. And it's interesting to see that having sort of shrunk the possibility space of that stuff a bit with those games, not that Bethesda games have ever been narrow in scope, but, you know, having sort of progressed a little more in the playability, like player messaging direction. It's interesting to see that these games have now become so successful and so fundamentally accepted by a mass audience that they seem to feel confident in just like going, well, just, I guess, keep pushing it.
I bet also the argument for this style of sort of openness and less tutorialization is easier to make as a AAA studio. One, like you said, when you know that you're selling millions of copies, but also between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, Minecraft and Demon's Souls and Dark Souls have shipped.
Yeah, that's true.
And like, those games have not done badly. And I feel like if you're making a systems-heavy, super open game that's about exploring and probing the systems, it's got to be easier to make the case with a relatively small team like Fallout 4 has. Like in the AAA space, they're not an Assassin's Creed. I think so.
Well, okay, not Assassin's Creed, but Assassin's Creed is unusual.
For a game that pre-sells 12 million copies, they have a small team.
That's fair. Okay.
Like they have a huge team relative to...
they're bigger than, like, I mean, they're so much smaller than somebody like a GTA or an Assassin's Creed.
The other games that exist in their space, which is...
That's fair.
You know...
Yeah.
You could almost add a fourth A were you a terrible person.
Right.
Fuck it, 4 A's.
Yep.
Like a Dubai hotel, 7 stars.
Yes. Yes. The Dubai hotels of gaming, man, that is weirdly accurate. Somehow. You know, it's...
Fallout 5, Dubai.
Yeah.
7 stars.
Man, I want to see what the world of Fallout looks like in a country that is not the United States, because so much of that series is kind of so
American
much
iconography.
Yeah,
like
the aesthetic like trades so heavily on sort of colonial era, colonial revival patriotism and
like smashed into mid-century Americana.
Yeah, mid-century Americana.
You could probably make a pretty amazing like Russian companion. You know, like.
Yeah.
Given the era of like nuclear warfare.
That's definitely that is true. That is the most obvious one.
Yeah.
But man, what would it look like if it was in like the Middle East or Asia or like South America
like Beijing or something? Yeah.
Man, a Fallout game set in a mid-century South American dictatorship, like like a communist spin-off. Like,
Yeah.
My gosh.
Which South? Did you read that article about the South American dictator who commissioned a bunch of like tech minds and futurists to build him like an all-encompassing government computer system and control center?
Like that scene in Batman,
like a year
The Dark
ago,
Knight.
I think. Did this come out like a year ago?
It was like actually 4 or 5 years ago this article came out, but it was people who like just high-minded political thinkers in American and European universities were commissioned by some South American government and their leader to build, like, to automate and make them like the it's like a BioShock basically, but real life, to make them like the technological, bureaucratic, idealistic, like the country that everyone wants to be. And at the end of the day, they did not have the money or resources to do this.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a floor of the building was like a secretarial pool that were bringing information together by hand, putting them onto slides that were then projected up onto screens in a room that just looked like the bridge from Star Trek. So it was completely the illusion of information and efficiency and all these things. Just like it ended up being this weirdly hilarious microcosm of how the shitty like dictatorships like like that work and like what they look. It's like basically what my friends think I look like, what I think I look like, what I actually look like image combination. But anyway, that crazy communist futurism smashed into a Fallout universe in the middle of South America would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's all. Get ready for that.
DLC.
I'm quite ready.
That's the new Vegas of Fallout 4, I hope.
Oh, man.
That's the Far Cry Blood
New
Dragon.
Nicaragua.
Fallout Blood Dragon.
The same way that like Risk Legacy and Pandemic Legacy in the board game space, just everyone gets their blood dragon
It's a
now.
Blood Dragon.
You get a blood dragon, you get a blood dragon. Yeah.
You know what I was going to say in terms of tutorialization and all the things that are crammed into the game? I wonder how much of, like, you have all those buttons because you're playing on PC with a mouse and keyboard. Like, I just hit all the buttons on my DualShock, and I kind of know most of what I have available, which is how I found VATS after hearing you guys talk about it. And I wonder how much of that tutorialization is also curbed just by the fact of like, well, we know you can do all of this stuff with these 12 buttons, so people will get to those buttons eventually. Because like the menu where you build your settlement or whatever that stuff is the clicky touchpad, the middle
What's the VATS button?
L1?
Rotate your DualShock 90 degrees and the accelerometer.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of this.
Bumper?
Star mode.
Press left Alt to do a thing.
Bumper. But like, sprint and crouch are on the sticks.
There's just
click
really weird
sticks.
choices on the UI. So, for instance, when you go into your building menu and you have the option of what to build, it makes you scroll left and right with the arrow keys, which you don't have your hands on.
That's just got to be
unless you press Shift, and then you can use WASD.
Whoa, what?
Discovered.
That's a strange...
Pro tip, Fallout
Why
tricks.
not just
I mean,
use
it just
WASD?
feels
There's
like
a
you're
bunch
so
of stuff like that.
constrained by the controller that you're just like, well, someone
will
PC
press
person
Shift and then use WASD.
PC gameplay controller is like, how do I make something better with these terrible constraints when you should just be able to click around with a mouse?
Yeah.
That's what you want, right? You just want it to be like, whatever, The Sims, where you just grab stuff, right?
Yeah.
I just want it to be an intuitive, like when you're in the middle of combat and doing stuff, you want to have an intuitive way of getting in and out of menus and using stuff.
Yeah.
And it just takes a while to get used to that. There are two escape buttons, essentially. There's the escape button that brings up the like settings menu, and then there's tab, which is actually like backing out of stuff. But sometimes you need to use both of them at the same time to get in and out of different menus and stuff, and it's really confusing. If you hit the wrong one, then it just takes you further down a stupid rabbit hole, and then
This is all like this. It's sort of like how Dota evolved from Warcraft or something. It's so that when you watch a high level of PC Fallout 4 player,
be like
you just it's
tapping
just
in and out.
hands just a blur. And you're like, how do they play this well? It's such a skill.
Side comment, did you see, this has got to be somebody just being cheeky at Kotaku on the StarCraft II expansion, like categorize the genre of game as MOBA with buildings.
What? That was just a joke. It was obviously an intentional joke. The review uses the phrase RTS, but like everyone saw the Twitter.
I just saw that.
Yeah. Like, what?
Yeah.
How could obviously no one legitimately make that mistake?
I thought that was a very
building.
strong choice.
Yeah, it's a good
I
joke.
liked that a lot. Yeah.
They meant LoMa with buildings, though.
Obviously. No, it's just fucking... everybody would have just lost their
like what is this?
With manners.
This is clearly just a typo of a bad joke. I really liked it, though. I'm going to stick with Fallout, even though I had an hour of my progress erased because I forgot to save, and I went through a booby trap last night.
Oh, shit.
That's such a weird thing to have happen, because, you don't save anything anymore. Everything just sort of, autosaves, when you're,
Yeah.
you just don't think about it as much
But these
anymore.
games, you can go such a huge period of time without making critical path progress of any
Right.
kind. You can just do...
It was
the
2
way I'm
hours.
playing- the way I'm playing right now, I'm just not... I'm basically not doing anything. I'm just walking around encountering things, but I'm not...
Same.
I haven't progressed the story in a long time.
Same. I don't have any of the... I don't know if I don't... I tried to turn off the stuff, the quest stuff, but I don't know if I have more limited UI options on console. If a reader knows this, please let me know.
As far as I can tell, you can't turn off the compass on the bottom side of your screen.
Which is fine.
Yeah, but what you can do is just deactivate all your active quests. You can still do them, but it means the dots won't show up and tell you where to go.
Yeah, is that in the settings?
No, that's in your actual quest log.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't done that part. Yeah. But no, it was enough time to where I've probably been playing, I don't know, a good chunk of early out. I'm still just on the outskirts of Diamond City. I refuse to go in. I keep leaving and going as far as I can in other directions to find other stuff. Because I'm oh, that's a whole, I know that's where the game starts. And I'm just still, there's so much more shit that I want to do before I go in there. And I was enough time between saving and getting blown up to where I was do I just re-roll? And that's that character's story. It felt so much time that it felt like a weird alternate universe for me to go back, Yeah.
That would be interesting if the game didn't when you make a new character, the game's just going to start identically.
Yeah,
that's the only reason. But there was a mod.
That was a Skyrim mod, right? Where they would roll you a random character and drop you at a random place in the world and just say, "Go Skyrim."
Well, I think
or something close to that.
I think there
definitely
was,
said
Go Skyrim.
It was something very close to that, right?
I think the mod you're thinking of put you into a random NPC.
Oh, did
and
it?
then that
Okay.
was your character.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's the one I'm
That's the one
thinking
I
of.
recall.
Okay, that's
Which is such an awesome idea.
Yeah, that would be really awesome, especially though if it could just be oh, you're a raider now, so be a raider, be an asshole in this playthrough. Yes, go and raid some settlements and.
I mean, you could just do that.
No,
as
you're
any
a shopkeeper.
character.
You
you
have
could
to,
just put on raider armor and go raid things. That's what they did.
Yeah.
but then the raiders will still shoot at you. They're not
they
like
didn't have
your
to
bros.
apply for a job.
They probably killed a
Are you
guy in
sure?
Raider armor, put it on, and then became one.
Yeah.
That's probably exactly what they did. My Raider armor just looks like Boba Fett, by the way. I just look like new Boba Fett. It drives me
I
crazy.
look like one of the sand people from Star Wars. I'm gonna put that in.
Do you travel in
I found it
single
weird
file?
to say sand people.
I have found it
You're
really
a Tuscan Raider from
That's
Tuscany.
the ones.
You're an artisanal
Artisanal
Raider.
Raider.
Yeah. 3 cheese.
Disgusting raider.
Tuscany exists in the same universe as Boston, our universe.
I encountered a Tuscan Raider in Fallout. Just yeah.
Second generation.
Second generation Tuscan Raider. Yeah,
Yeah. He moved there to write his novel.
I'm a Tuscan-American Raider.
My grandparents came over here from Tuscany.
To raid.
To raid, they put on their Raiders armor.
You brought it all the way.
Yep. Their artisanal Tuscan Raiders armor.
Family
Crafted by a
heirloom.
fucking Tuscan artisan.
I'm so worried about missing stuff because I don't understand the game, though. Does that happen to you?
You've got FOMO.
What?
I'm worried. I tried to adopt a 2-headed dog because I thought I could. Because I was I have a dog. Maybe I can just upgrade it to this mutant dog. I didn't understand that it was an enemy until it was an enemy. Until it was very clear.
Right.
So there's all that sort of stuff. I approach every scenario just sort of
that's fun.
new.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I guess it's good that you don't know that because your character is also 200 years behind the curve. So I walk into every situation just being like, "What are we doing? Hey guys, you're come with me? Oh, You're biting me? All right, well.
It's okay. Wait for the 2-headed dog adoption mod. Also, wait for the Steam Workshop edition so that we can actually get someone to make Tuscan Raider armor that was made by a Tuscan artisan.
Yeah. Yep.
3 cheese.
Yeah, or it's a quattro formaggio if you want. You can.
Do you sorry.
No.
Sean's just enjoying the cheese.
Just giggling.
Do you guys know
about cheese.
that farm early on? Have you? I forget.
The farm with the two-headed cow?
You've played this game a fair amount, right? Yeah, the farm with the two-headed cow.
Yeah. Where you pick them
no,
up.
I mean, two-headed cows are like a staple of Fallout. But
the first one. Like
yeah, the
Bessie
first one
or
that you see.
whatever
yeah.
her name is.
They grow a fruit there called, I think, Tatos.
Yeah.
Which is a
You mash them, you
mix
fry them,
of-
you put them in a stew, of course.
Exactly. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. And I found that, like, I just went in there, and there's a woman, like the proprietor of the farm, who like buys and sells things. And I just picked all of her potatoes and sold them all to her. And, like, she paid me for them.
That's classic
and then,
PC
and then
gaming.
and then I came back like half an hour later, and all the potatoes had regrown. So I just picked them all again and sold all those.
So,
to
Chris,
her.
you're a potato farmer.
So I'm just a potato farmer. I just come in and harvest her crops and sell them to her, and then leave.
She's probably buying your labor, though, right?
Yeah, she probably can sell them for more.
She's
than I can.
marking them up.
Well, see, I sell them raw, but then she boils, mashes them, or sticks them in a stew, and
the stew
sells.
is very
I mean,
expensive.
there's also like recipes in this game, so maybe that's a thing. Maybe Tato has 3 recipes, and we all know what those are. So
Most of us do.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
I've
Jake has
heard
looked like
of
he
them
smelled
now.
a fart for about a minute and a half.
it's okay. This entire conversation is just in impact with a black outline around it. It's fine though. What isn't?
I was going to say something about those potatoes, but
Americans.
what?
You Americans.
You have
Enjoying your
a quarrel?
American joking.
It's a Lord of the Rings reference.
I don't know what Tatos are.
You don't know what's taters? What's taters?
Taters.
Well, in the game, they're called Tatos. I mean, that's just from Fallout. I didn't
Yeah,
make
but
that
it
up.
Taters
says
are crisps.
Taters. There's a difference.
You have the Tato
Potatoes.
crisps as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what is
Potato
what's
is that what you
taters,
mean?
precious?
What are you doing? Sorry.
You being Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you are
person?
entirely. That's on purpose?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't tell. You have a British
Listen,
accent, so I can't tell if
I'm
you're
trying
just
to
speaking
discern-
or if you're quoting Lord of the Rings.
Classic.
Oh, that's just like Sam says.
I was just trying to
Remember
figure
that time
out
when
if
Gandalf said
Tatos
classic?
were an American branded.
No, that's just
Thing.
from this video game.
No, it's just a stupid slanging of the word potatoes.
Yeah,
No, in the game, it's meant to be a cross of potatoes and tomatoes.
Oh.
That's what it is in the game.
Oh.
I mean, it's
Tatos.
They're
then.
just red potatoes, but
what you
people
mean.
have really classed them up with new branding.
I see.
Tatos is what they're called.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They are special.
Good God.
They are special.
What? It's important that we get these things right.
it isn't.
Have you built any weird shit in your
No,
settlement?
not really. I built some hallway segments and stuck them together.
Nice.
Yeah, I built one of those and thought, oh, this is going to take ages to do anything. Fuck this.
Yeah.
I haven't put down one. I've spent lots of time with the settlement UI, but I have yet to place one thing because I know the moment I put something on the ground, I'm not going to leave. It's really stressful for me, so I just kind of keep
Why
cycling
aren't
through
you gonna
everything.
leave? You mean you're not gonna
until I leave the area because I'll just keep.
You'll need to get more stuff to build more things, though.
Oh, that'll kill me. I just can't. I'll come back.
Are you
to
worried someone's going to come by and fuck it up?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I worry all the time in this game.
You got to find the perfect spot,
Exactly.
and then it's time to start.
I have to have a
building
good
stuff.
idea.
You don't want to build stuff right by at the beginning of the game.
No. Although I did end up doing a 2-hour loop all the way back to my home, like last night. That was really.
And then you died on your own booby trap? Is that why?
No, I went much further after that, but it was really fun to get back there. And I'd done the stuff in that first little town where you get in the suit the first time, and then people from that fight end up moving back into their homes, which is cool. So I bumped into them, and that sort of realization. You're like, oh wait, that's the vault right there. That was very nice. That stuff was reminded me how much fun that part of a game can be. More so than Skyrim, I think, in terms of the uniqueness of the areas. But yeah. Yep. It's a video game you'd like, Jake.
I know.
Pick it up in the Steam sale.
I know. whenever I have free time and I'm sitting at my computer, I come to like a 3-way fork in the road between do I work on Firewatch or do I create a new Unity project because I'm really curious about all the new rendering stuff that's gone into Unity 5.
Oh, I do not have that fork.
Oh, man, there's... oh, it's thrilling. Speaking of that, because I think we should probably take a break in a second. But before we go to a break, this is a reminder that the Idle Thumbs community is starting a winter-themed Wizard Jam called the Wonderful Winter Wizard Jam, I believe. And if you're interested in doing that, it starts pretty soon, I think. Go to idlethumbs.net and hit the forums link at the top, and there's a bunch of people who are starting to form teams and put together the guidelines for it. Looks pretty good. The last one of those was really good. I was reminded of it because I started a game for the original Wizard Jam in Unity, and then I was too lame to finish it. I even got Chris to help me work on it for a minute, and then even then, with the help of a competent programmer, I was too lazy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry, Wizard Jam.
I also was that, so it's fine.
It was an Xbox Blade UI that you explored. It was pretty sweet. Anyway, whatever. Wonderful Winter Wizard Jam, an awesome game jam coming soon from the Idle Thumbs community. Go look at it, idlethumbs.net.
/wwwj.
No, it's not there.
No, idlethumbs.net and click on forums.
Spacejam.com.
Let's take a break.
Video game.
This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by MeUndies. MeUndies manufactures and sells directly to you incredibly comfortable and high-quality underwear and other basic undergarments. I actually found a basically ancient email sent to us by an Idle Thumbs reader that I don't know how I never noticed this before, but Shadow Zenith writes...
In the year 941.
Back in January.
2008.
Yeah. I happened to be doing laundry when I was listening to the episode where MeUndies was a sponsor, and while I was initially bemused at the notion of an underwear ad on a video game podcast, my clothes were right there, and it actually had an impact. My unmentionables were in a sorry state, so I thought, why not? These things are damn comfortable. You never know what might work out. Zenith sent via phone, tablet, and then there's like a complex emoticon.
They are ridiculously comfortable.
Yeah.
I need to get enough pairs of MeUndies for every day of the week because I have MeUndies days where I wear them and I feel a little
Wait,
better.
will you
I
just
actually-
rotate them?
I do the same thing, actually. I have like my nicer underwear that
Right.
I...
Well, obviously
Need
you
out.
use those ones out first and then move on to the less
Not
ones.
necessarily.
Really, because
Sometimes you
sometimes I'm
save
like,
them.
I'm gonna want
yeah.
to feel. I got Thursday is gonna be a hard day,
Yeah, exactly.
and I want to feel good.
This is like a weird 80s commercial. Thursday's going to be a hard day. It's going to be a MeUndies day just for
MeUndies
me.
day.
Only I'll know.
Well, that's my true life.
It's good. But what if every day could be one of those days?
I would like to do that.
Think of the savings you
Chris,
could
if I
get.
wanted to make every day a MeUndies day, what would I do to do that?
You would go to MeUndies.com
Okay,
/thumbs.
there right now.
MeUndies.com /thumbs, and you will get 20% off your first order and free shipping.
Video game.
This episode of Idle Thumbs is also brought to you by Harry's. Harry's manufactures and ships high-quality razors and shaving products. It is also, you may be aware, Movember.
Oh, it is.
Yes, Movember. Is that how you say that? I've never really known.
Yeah, it sounds like
Movember.
November, but with an M.
Yeah, it's just weird because it is.
Because it's not Movember, like mustache.
Right. Movember is when men may choose to grow mustaches or other facial hair configurations to promote men's health. I did this one year in like 2010, and there's which I don't think you guys saw because I was in Boston, and I have a photograph of it.
I'm seeing it now.
And,
I'm pretty excited
and this
about
is what
this.
it looked like. It's the like handlebar.
I gotta tell you, if you wanted to become a totally different type of composer, this would be the mustache for you to have.
So I'll put this up in the forum thread for the episode.
like a Lemmy.
Someone
It's like a
reminds
Lemmy
me to.
mustache.
Yeah, it is kind of like
Yeah.
Lemmy. Anyway, so you can, if whether or not you have any interest in giving yourself a handlebar mustache or any other kind of mustache, Harry's razors and shaving products work well regardless. And
Sculpting.
for for the whole face hair situation, whatever
Whatever
sort.
it may be.
Yeah. If you go to harrys.com, that is HARRYS.com, and enter the code THUMBS at checkout, you will get $5 off your first order. Considering you can get their starter kit, which comes with a razor, blades, and shaving gel or cream for only $15, that is
It's super cheap.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Absurd.
Knock a third right off that.
Redonkulous.
Yep. Harrys.com, enter code THUMBS.
Redonkulous.
Video games.
WWWJ sounds like
What
would Jesus do? Yeah.
What would wizards
Jesus.
juice?
Jesus. What would wizards? Jesus. The guy was distracted right then, but it was still.
What? You have to finish your over. What would they want?
Jesus.
What would they want?
He said that, and then a wizard attacked him, and he just turned into a little pile of ass on the ground.
They're not just...
A wizard
secret.
teleported into his room
Yep.
after he said
Jesus,
wizard.
what would I want?
Video games.
We back?
Yeah, we never left.
Oh,
Gosh,
man.
guys.
It feels like just minutes ago we were talking about underpants and
Potatoes.
yeah.
So a game came out on Steam like a week ago or so, I think.
Prove it.
Called, well, you can look it up. It's called Kero Blaster. Kero. I don't actually know what that
Like kerosene?
Yeah.
like that.
It's called the kerosene,
but completely unrelated. Yeah, it's called Kero Blaster, and it's by Daisuke Amaya, the guy who goes by Pixel, who made Cave Story,
Oh.
like all the way back in 2004.
Right.
And this is actually his first game since that.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, a decade later. I
Cave
played.
Story came out 10 years ago?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Yeah. So I played this game on iOS last year when it came out. I guess it actually also came out on PC then, but I didn't know. I think it was released through some Japanese like PC distributor thing. But I played all the way through the entire game on iOS last year. It's a platformer. It's a 2D like side-scrolling run and gun platformer. And I kept meaning to talk about it on the podcast at the time, and I just never I always had something else that I wanted to talk about first, and I just never got around to it. And now it came out on Steam, and I just saw it on Steam, and I went, oh my God, I completely forgot that this game existed. And I picked it up again because I really liked it, and I played it for about an hour, but I don't think I'm going to go through the whole thing again. But it's a really unusual game in some ways, in part because it feels like such an anachronism. We were talking about Downwell recently, which is very feels very much like a throwback in some ways, in that it has a very limited color palette, and it sort of the visual design is kind of
Simple
reminiscent
movement
of,
input mechanics.
Yeah,
too.
very simple movement mechanics, definitely. But it also feels like a game that is sort of aesthetically, intentionally backwards looking, while also being very informed by modernity in very key elements of its design. Whereas Kero Blaster has a very backwards looking aesthetic, but in a way that is not super stylish like Downwell's is. It just kind of looks like an older game. It's really weird. It's very, very strange. And there's nothing about the design that feels super informed by modern design choices, although I'm sure that there are, not sort of less obvious ways in which that's the case. It's just a really, really competently made, very challenging run and gun platformer with a very, very simple rule set.
Kero Blaster looks like a game that was in the 2D id Software Apogee era. It looks like a game that is one tier aesthetically below Commander Keen or something.
Right,
it looks
or
like
Jazz Jackrabbit or something. Yeah.
Even Jazz Jackrabbit and
I guess that's a couple
those
levels
are
beyond,
those are
yeah.
both pretty nice. Where this looks like it would be a competitor to Hugo's House of Horrors or
Right,
something like that.
Yeah.
It just looks like the sort of game that your friend would get from a swap meet on a floppy disk, and you'd be you would not know where it came from.
No, it's close to the aesthetic of the Amiga era.
Yeah, it also looks like
kind of platforming game.
Yeah, it looks
stuff. So
definitely.
less PC, more Amstrad, Amiga, not Amstrad, Atari.
That's definitely true. But again, it doesn't use that kind of palette and style in a super like stylish, modern feeling way, the way a lot of retro inspired visual styles do. You know, they try to sort of employ like these technical limitations in the service of like a really specific aesthetic. And this game doesn't, and it's kind of charming for that reason. I like how unassuming it is, and then you play it and it just gets fucking hard. Like it just gets really brutal in a way that is satisfying because it is tuned really well. I'm kind of amazed with myself that I played the entire thing on iOS, which is something I could not stand to do with Downwell. That game is just so frantic and unforgiving, and great, but I just couldn't deal with the sort of virtual controls. This game I did.
Maybe that's because you have played PC Downwell. Like, if that hadn't happened and you just
you played iOS
because
first.
I started on iOS Downwell, and a couple days in, I'm like, I just can't do it. It's not, you know what I mean? Like I ended up just waiting until the PC version came out, which I guess was actually only 2 days later. But I'm pretty confident that I would not have stuck with it the way I did.
Yeah,
on
way.
PC.
The virtual controls and the tone and pace of that game.
Yeah.
Whereas
Kero Blaster is difficult, but it is also kind of more intentional and less instinctually reactive than Downwell is. You know, in Downwell, you're constantly reacting to things on a split-second basis. In Kero Blaster, I don't even know why I'm comparing these games because they're not that similar, but I guess they're both sort of one-person developed Japanese indie games with very limited color palettes and are effectively platformers, although very,
they both shipped on mobile first.
They both shipped on mobile and PC. That is true. And so this game, even though there are moments where you have to sort of run and jump, you know, quickly in quick succession, you still have that feeling of that you get in a lot of platformers where, okay, I see what the enemy's doing. I know what the enemy's pattern is. I'm going to I know exactly how far my gun shoots. So I'm going to get right to the edge of, you know, my range and sort of exploit his movement patterns and firing patterns. You know, it's that kind of thing. And there's also upgradable weapons and upgradable attributes and things like that. And it's just good. Like it's not remarkable or revelatory. It's just good the whole way through. At least it was, in my opinion. And I can't remember how much it costs on Steam, but it's not expensive. And it's called Kero Blaster, and it is by Pixel, who made Cave Story.
Thanks, Chris.
Welcome. Now I've fulfilled my year-old intention to talk about that game. I'm glad it came out on Steam, so I did that. Yeah.
Reader mail from readers?
Yeah, let us do some reader mail.
They don't have to be readers.
But they
Just
will.
be-
But they will be.
Reader mail from just unsubscribe.
Random.
Gary Marshall writes, "What's up, cool internet people? The brief discussion of Chris Avallone's plan for Black Isle's canceled attempt at Fallout 3, which gets referred to as Van Buren because that was its project title, got me nostalgic for looking forward to that game. When he was the lead designer on Van Buren, he had the idea Chris brought up last week about there being another party who was just essentially another roaming player party, just controlled by the computer rather than another player. They'd visit locations and handle things like your party would, and sometimes would get there before you, so there'd be parts of the game where you'd turn up, an entire town would be raised, and you'd have no idea what had happened. When he was still at Black Isle, he left before Van Buren got canceled when Obsidian Entertainment was being put together. He ran 2 separate pen and paper RPGs set in the part of the west coast of the U.S. that the game would take place in. I don't think he told any of the people playing this game, but the 2 parties were in indirect competition, with one party ruining a place and the second party getting there later and being confused as to why the settlers were pissed off about another group of heavily armored adventuring assholes turning up."
That's so good.
Yeah, that is really good.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
He apparently, Chris Avellone, did a talk at NYU's Practice lecture series this last weekend, which is a game design weekend lecture series that a bunch of people did, and he talked about Van Buren and this pen and paper RPG stuff. So I suspect sometime in the next few months, a video of that talk will probably go up on NYU's YouTube.
Man, Practice is so good.
Isn't that what Stalker was trying to do? Well, not quite.
Yeah, Stalker. I totally neglected to bring up Stalker when I talked about this stuff, because Stalker totally has stuff like that in it. I remember we were talking years ago. I think Nick had a story on the podcast about playing Stalker, and then an NPC just came up and took his gun away, and and right in front of him.
Yeah, there's like other
Give me that.
stalkers
I like
taking
your
your
shoes.
contracts and fucking your life up.
Yeah, there's all the NPCs in Stalker do all kinds of like really cool things that influence your quest and everything else. I completely
There was an
slipped my
Untitled
mind.
Reader story about a guy who like went on a whole like mission at night in Stalker, had done about like was defending himself against shadowy creatures in the dark of this warehouse, and then came back, like did like 2 hours of missions and came back through and found this like murdered warehouse and was like, who's been here? Who did all this? And then had this realization that it was him.
That was me last night.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite Stalker stories that come through the podcast. Gosh, that was a while ago.
Do you know what else that stuff reminds me of? Like people playing a game not knowing that there's other people kind of playing in that same space as them, or like playing against each other but not knowing.
Like what's an
There's
example?
have you guys heard of a man named Derren Brown? He is a British kind of
sort of like magician debunker.
Yeah, he's like a showman, magician, power of the mind, power of suggestion kind of guy. He did one of his tricks that he does that was really good is he made he played a bunch of grandmasters at chess and said I can win playing like 11 grandmasters at chess or wherever they were all at once, like taking a turn, moving to the next person, taking a turn. And so he did that, but what he was actually doing was memorizing their games and making 6 of them, like a bunch of them play against each other and then trying to beat the weakest one himself using his own chess skills. So he's just like memorizing all the moves and using them against other people, and they're like, no, whatever. So he's like, I know I'll win like half of these, and then I just have to win one. So yeah. Like that kind of thing.
That still means he has to be decent at chess.
Yeah, it still means he had to be good,
Yeah,
but I
like
guess he, pick the worst one, the
Can't
worst
beat that.
wizard,
So
shitty wizard.
anyway,
And
Gary
there's your idea for your game jam game number one.
Gary Marshall continues. A lot of the ideas for Van Buren eventually got used in New Vegas, which was led by Josh Sawyer, and 3 of the 4 story DLC packs were led by Chris Avellone. As an idea, it's very lightly touched upon. In that game, you'll occasionally hear about another person who has a beef with your character for some unknown reason, and that character appears in the final DLC after a lot of foreshadowing throughout the game. But because it's a single character, and because they're making the game in the Fallout 3 engine, which wasn't designed to handle an autonomous character who wrecks shit of his own volition, it would have been impossible to make a whole system to handle it. Which is a shame. I think it's a neat idea that I haven't really seen being done. When I listened to episode 1 of Vital Thumbs back in 2013, I remember chuckling at the new No Mutants Allowed comment. Now that we've mentioned Fallout, they're already here. I was never active on that forum, but I was definitely one of the people who was disproportionately angry at Fallout 3, as though people enjoying a game in the series that wasn't exactly the same as the original was some terrible thing. I've mellowed out about Fallout 3 since then, and I'm digging Fallout 4, but I thought I'd bring it up so you're aware that it took at least one NMA lurker 5 years to find your podcast. Regards, Gary. He then sent a quick follow-up email saying, I forgot to bring up the thing I was going to about Chris Avellone, which is that he also wrote the Fallout Bible, which contained the massive list of vaults you guys mentioned a few weeks back. He wrote a few good parts of it and was basically a load of semi-official background lore and flavor material for people to run their own pencil and paper RPGs in the Fallout world. It had a list of vaults with the experiments happening in each one. At least one of the vaults listed in the Fallout Bible ended up being used in Fallout 3, the one in which a hallucinogenic gas was leaked into the air filtration system. Regards, Gary. Cool.
Nice.
Does it also mention the one in which Chris Remo replaced everyone, made it women only, and
Except for one baby Nick Brecken.
Yeah, is that in that list?
If only.
Future
Oh, man.
list.
This is crazy. So we have another email from Shadow Zenith, the guy who wrote us back in January about MeUndies, also wrote us 4 days ago.
Love the
mail, or
love the
just-
MeUndies read this week, guys.
Because I'm MeUndies strike.
He's been writing in every
we
single week
respond to his-
for the last year about MeUndies.
Still wearing them. I refuse to take these off.
Maybe it's got an update.
Haven't heard you mention any of these emails yet. I don't know. It must be a weird oversight.
What did he
Unrelated to underwear, he writes, the words we use to describe genres in gaming are hilarious sometimes, and the etymology of them fascinates me. The twisty route we took to arrive at, quote, adventure game, being the main descriptor for a narrative and or logic-gated thing that emphasizes those qualities over combat and direct conflict. Then we tack the word action on the front to signify when those qualities have direct combat or conflict blended in. Wacky. I was reminded of this when you guys struggled to describe a game where you line up 3 or more similar things in the hopes that the gaps created by their disappearing will cause yet more things to align. I struggled with that a while back. I don't think puzzle game can be a genre name at this point because there's so many different kinds of puzzles and it fails to evoke anything specific. Eventually, I settled on Match Puzzler to describe the whole icon piece shifting and alignment genre in general. Hope you find it a fitting genre title and perhaps spread it out a bit. Match Puzzler is also like a real C-list DC Comics villain.
Yes. MOBA with buildings.
MOBA minus buildings. This is MOBAs. Let's see.
Yeah, what did we end up calling? We called it like a line chainer. We had some.
I can't even remember.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Casual game names.
Tulalith Doherty. I'm sorry for surely.
Tallulah?
Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, it is just pronounced like Tallulah, but it's not spelled in a way that I'm familiar with. So Tallulah Doherty writes.
It's a great name.
It is a good name. Hi, Thumbs. I enjoyed your discussion on microtransaction in games, and I was wondering if any of you had heard about Amazon Underground. It's a service on the Amazon Kindle Fire tablet.
It's an invite-only service for elites.
It kind of sounds like that's what it is, because it says it's a service on the Amazon Kindle Fire tablets that lets you get games for free. But the thing that's interesting is that all of the microtransactions are free also. I don't think any of the...
It's attached to a bizarre sex cult found in the underground of New York.
I don't think any of the really egregious games are on it, but I did get Jetpack Joyride and immediately acquired 2 million coins in every item, which felt really strange. Another thing I find interesting about this is that the developers of the apps are paid by Amazon for each minute the app is used in total for the user base, roughly 0.2 cents a minute. The Amazon developer website includes a calculator where you can put in how many minutes of play your app sees and find out how much money Amazon Underground will make you. It's weird and fascinating in my opinion, so I was wondering if you had any thoughts about it. Do you think it's a good idea? A little note about Fallout. In Fallout 3, items did sometimes disappear from containers in the general wasteland. The only safe containers were the ones in your personal houses in Megaton or Tenpenny Tower. I have no idea if this is in Fallout 4. Thanks for reading, Tallulah Doherty. So how does Amazon make money from this?
Is it ad-driven?
This seems like it's a promotional thing.
It must
feels
be
like
to
it's
drive
like their
people
version of
to-
PlayStation Plus or something.
Yeah, it must be to drive... Maybe it comes with Amazon Prime?
Yeah, I don't know.
God, they're really just chucking in everything they can with Amazon Prime now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
I inexplicably and for no personal reasons in my life, I am a full... I think I have an Amazon Mom discount now that I've learned that I just got last week. Pretty sweet. 20% off, baby. Never going to need it. Not never, you know.
They just comped you Amazon Mom? What does that mean?
I added a friend as a family member, which you can do.
People with families are moms.
Turn me into an Amazon mom.
Maybe you're...
That's really weird.
Surely it's
Doesn't
just
that
your
seem
purchasing
strange?
habits.
Mike Dad,
Let them
Amazon
know.
mom hanging out.
They didn't think that like Amazon Parent was catchy enough, so they're just like, they're all moms.
I get 20% off diapers because I'm
Look.
an Amazon mom.
They know exactly what he's
I'm an
buying.
Amazonian mother.
Momazon.
It's a Momazon underground.
But yeah, I just feel like they're just trying to make Amazon Prime like they're starting to just throw everything in now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
David Ma writes, Dear Thumbs,
Hi, David.
Fallout 4 is sort of ruining me. Not so long ago, he put sort of in parentheses, I guess to make it clear that he's not actually like
I'm ruined.
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 He's no longer non-functional.
Financially
But
ruined.
No, parentheses, not quotes. So.
he put it in parentheses, yeah. Fallout 4 is sort of ruining me. Not so long ago, I moved into an older home, and with it the host of problems and accompanying renovations you'd expect from such a place.
Giant cockroaches, two-headed dogs.
The plaster and lathe bulges here and there, so I have a supply of plaster construction adhesive, screws and washers to bind the plaster. A pipe leaks, some solder, copper tubing, and a blowtorch. Need to patch a ceiling, drywall, joint compound, fiberglass tape. My garage has become a small microcosm of construction supplies, from a range of woods and engineered materials to various chemicals, compounds, and hardware. So I find myself in a strange situation where I'm alternating between scrounging for building materials in my garage and scrounging for building materials in Fallout 4's Commonwealth. I lay down wood flooring at Red Rocket while I'm waiting for grout to dry just down the hall. The problem is when you're working on one, you start thinking about the other. If I had more wood, I could fence off more of the settlement. Well, I have half as much pine as I'd need to replace another drawer, so how about I do 2 instead of 1? If I grow another row of corn, I can have a solid supply of adhesive. Maybe another sheet of plywood would be handy. I don't need another sheet of plywood. Have you ever played a game where your gaming habits bleed into the real world? Collecting all the things, David Ma.
At my worst Dota times, I was really trying to min-max my time around the house in a way that I started to notice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just
What
like,
does that mean?
I'm only going to go once I'm bringing my laptop with me to keep watching this Netflix show I'm watching in my couch to watch it in the kitchen, so I don't have to come back in here and watch it in here because that would be steps wasted, stuff like that.
Right.
Wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
Bought a bicycle, got out more. Things were good.
Man, I talked about this way back, but when I used to play a lot of Worms Armageddon, it remapped my brain's perception of how space was navigated to the point that, like, I lived on the second floor of a house when I lived in Santa Cruz, and I would look up at the window and just, like, there was an actual longing in my brain. It was like, if I could just deploy the fucking ninja rope. If I could just deploy the ninja rope, I could just suck up to the window and just go inside. I'd be home. Instead I have to go through the gate and around the stairs. Ugh. Unlock a door. If life was like Worms Armageddon, it'd probably be even more racist than the real life, and there'd be like exploding sheep everywhere. And
Is Worms racist?
I don't know. Those voices were questionable, I think.
Okay.
I'm not going to dig any deeper.
This doesn't have a sort of like reciprocal action in the real world, but those two games last week that I talked about, I think it was last week that I talked about both of these. One of which is Fallout Shelter, which obviously I've talked about many weeks before, and then the Anno 2205 Asteroid Miner tie-in game. Though I realized several days ago that those games are both games where waiting an amount of time is necessary. In Fallout Shelter, it's strictly necessary. Things take time to happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then in Anno 2205, you can wait, or you can spend money to not have to wait. And so in my case, that meant I just ended up waiting, after I just like said no money spent on this. And that just resulted in me, I realized I just fell into this pattern of I basically played each of those games in the morning and then after work. And then I'd get up the next day and I'd play him before work, and then I'd play him after work. And I would just kind of like, in the case of Fallout Shelter, I would go through all my people and like reassign them all based on all their leveling up and make sure that they're like studying the right thing, training up on the right thing. And then in Anno, I would use up all of my energy until I didn't have any energy left and wasn't willing to buy more. And then that would be it. And I could do nothing to do in them for like hours while they tick away. And then I would get done with work and I'd get on the bus to go home and I would take them out and go through these fucking things. And I realized I was just doing an extra job that was getting me zero benefit or money or like
well, in the case of Fallout Shelter, it's really funny because you're like, all right, boys, everybody get together. All right, go do your job. And then you go, ha, 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 they're all off to work for me. And then you just go and work at your job.
Yeah.
And then come back. All right, boys, time to get back to work.
They're all
like
women, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever. I was thinking more of
important.
like a 1950s.
That's true. It is that.
You know what I mean? It's called roleplay, Chris.
Fair enough. So that was a weird realization that I came to the other day, and I have really no further insight about it, I suppose. Other than mobile games are weird. It's weird that is the thing that apparently is like most effective on mobile, and I guess it is effective because I was doing it. But it's weird. It's very strange. It's strange that is just like apparently a.
Is it weird? Is it strange?
Model. It is all of those.
Is it Crazy Taxi?
It's no Crazy Taxi. Let's be real. But what is?
Please get real.
Get real. Get Crazy Taxi.
Get real crazy. I think that we should stop this episode now.
I think you're right.
It ended.
Well, thanks for listening to...
Would have been great if it just ended on you saying it ended.
And there.
Video games!
We have to tell people about podcasts. It's the end of the podcast. This is the part where you say rate us on iTunes. It's the part where you say tell a friend. It really helps. It's the part where you say if you have a question, write us at questions@outofthumbs.net. It's the part where you say outofthumbs.net is a network that hosts a lot of great podcasts, including 3 Moves Ahead, a war and strategy gaming podcast, and our latest podcast, Esports Today, covering the pro gaming scene. Check it out at outofthumbs.net.
Idle weekend.
They're going to have a lot to talk about this week. Big Dota Major going on, some inter-team drama. I would check out Esports Today this week for sure.
Esports.today is where you can find it.
Whoa, really?
A great domain name.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we spent like $500 on it.
Oh, wow.
It was impossible to resist.
Yeah.
It was that or esports.zone. No.
Nah.
You'd have to rename the podcast.
The esports zone.
Zone. That's probably already a podcast.
It is
Or a
now.
website or something. All right. Well, thanks for listening. You can also send us email at questions@idlethumbs.net.
Covered that earlier.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Follow us at idlethumbs on Twitter.
Okay.
Oh,
See
yeah,
you guys,
you didn't say that.
See you guys
Bye.
next week.
Bye.